Disclaimer. We are two regular guys who love to talk Bone Thugs and Harmony. We do not represent Bone Thugs or any Bone affiliate. We are also not Bone Thugs experts. The views and information you hear in this podcast may be based on personal opinion. Please feel free to leave corrections and clarifying information in the comments. And enjoy. What's up, y'all? Cecil West, Beyond the Harmony, beyondtheharmony.com, back again with the one and only
Juan John Lippy.
And tonight, our special guest host,
Ty Wise.
And this is your Thug Thursday, Season 2. We're back at it. We've been hitting you hard every single week. Every single week, we've been giving them something new. Most recently, that Demiza interview. And man, it's been such an action-packed Season 2 that it was time to just chill out a little bit, take a break, and just do what we do, which is talk some Bone Thugs. So we kind of got a special episode tonight. John's been really formulating an episode, and this is something that we've been working on for a while. So John's got an idea, and I thought it was a great idea. We brought Ty in for this, and I'm going to let John kind of explain to you guys what's going to happen in tonight's episode.
So tonight is essentially going to be the Bone Thugs and Harmony Grammy Awards by the year. So we're going to go through all of the Bone years from 93 to 2018 to discover and debate and argue what the most important song they released each year. And part of the reason we're doing this is to showcase that they have not missed a single year for 25 straight years. I don't know of any artist out there, not even Mariah Carey, not Madonna, maybe Prince with all the underground stuff that he did, but I don't know any artist that's consistently released at least one semi-hit every year for 25 years. So we're going to take a look at that. We hope that this is going to bring you all through a whole historical context and lens year by year of Bone. Now, what you see on your screen right now is the nominees that I created off the top of my head for each year. What we're going to do tonight is Ty and Cecil are going to debate whether or not they agree with my list or if they have a modification. And hopefully we come with a solid winner and possibly a runner-up. But due to time constraints, we're going to be limited to about 4 to 5 minutes max per year. And it's going to get heavy. It's probably going to get heated. And hopefully we don't go overtime. But those are the rules. That's how we're going to do it. So we're going to start off with, does anybody have any questions, by the way?
I just want to say, I just want to say that I think an important thing too that we always kind of like talk about when we do the question of the day is if we're saying something is our favorite or it's the best of or the most important, because those are all very different things. Sometimes we break down an album literally by those three categories, and I just want to point out for the listeners again that John said that we're picking the most important song of that year. So, which one had the most impact, either on music or the Bone world. It doesn't necessarily mean that it was the best song, to the Bone fans, or that it was, my favorite song. But rather the most important, the one that had the most impact either on music or the Bone world. So I just kind of wanted to make sure that we extra clarified that. I'm question free.
And I wanted to also add in that we did debate doing this live because the best part of this would be to have live input from everybody, but there's just so much to cram in. in such a short period of time. Otherwise, we'll be here for all week, let alone all night. So that's why we're not doing it live. But we encourage you guys to drop in the comments what you think. I know it'll be hard by year, so maybe just do a 93 to 2018. Man, we're in 2019 now, and just drop what your list is as we're going on. Feel free to disagree. This is a debate, and we're all Bone fans.
Yeah. Keep it friendly, and of course we'll do the live premiere, so we'll all be in that chat room together as well. But yeah, I feel good. It's Thug Thursday, and we're in here with Ty Wise, and I feel good. Ty, you got questions about tonight?
No, not really, man. I'm pretty excited. I know it's gonna get a little sketchy when we start getting into some of these songs over the 90s, because there's a lot of good tracks. But trying to decipher which one was the best song, most important song for that year, man, we're gonna get into some muddy waters for sure.
Most important could still be the best. All right, John, let's get it.
All right, we're going to host these all here. We're starting with 1993. We quickly debated whether or not we should include Faces of Death, but of course, this is Beyond the Harmony, and we fanaticize over Faces of Death. So I'm going off with my top two. I feel like the best song on Faces of Death was Flow Motion, with a runner-up as Hell Sent. Now, you and I, Cecil, we discussed this on one of our questions of the day. So we're going to start with Ty. Ty, what do you feel the best track on Faces of Death is, and what would your runner-up be?
Most important.
Most important.
Oh yeah, most important.
The most important song on Faces of Death, I would have to agree, is Flow Motion. It took them a really long time for them to come back and remake that song again. When they finally did on Strength and Loyalty, but I would definitely say Flow Motion was probably the best song. It has the classic Crazy Bone verse in it that he rapped over the phone to Eazy-E. However, I have a runner-up myself for 1993 on that album, and to me it'd be Gangster Attitude. I love the Gangster Attitude, and sometimes I actually think it's an even better song or more important song than Flow Motion, because of the rhythm that they carried through that song. But again, I would have to agree, Flow Motion is definitely going to take the cake for Faces of Death in 1993. The way that the songs, the chorus, everything about it was just so well thought out, and it seemed like one of those songs that they had in their bag going into this, and just waiting to get recorded somewhere. That they probably performed that song 1,000 times, hanging out with each other, and didn't even need to write it down.
Solid. So you agree with Flow Motion as most important, and did you have Hell Sent as the runner-up or Gangster Attitude?
I had Gangster Attitude as the runner-up.
Okay. All right, Cecil.
Yeah, so I'm not even this isn't much for me. Me and Johnny have already covered some of these albums with most important track already, and I've already picked Flow Motion in a previous video. I'm not even going to talk runner up because Flow Motion is hands down the most important. It's the closest song to the Bone style on there, and of course, like Ty mentioned, it features the Crazy Bone verse that we know is what they rapped over the phone to Eazy-E. Without that verse, without that song, who knows what it would be. So just hands down, Flow Motion, most important song of 1993. That's it.
Awesome. All right, Flow Motion 93. Heading into 94, Ruthless Records. What I have listed is Thuggish Ruggish Bone as the most important, being that it was the first song and video, and you guys know the story how I left my house that same day to go get the album as soon as I saw it. And the runner-up is For the Love of Money, obviously Eazy-E, the second single from Creepin on a Come Up. So we'll start with Cecil this time. What do you got for most important and runner-up?
Yeah, so this one I do, I do believe that your most important and your runner-up are spot on, but very debatable in a lot of ways. Thuggish Ruggish Bone, I do think is the most important. It was the groundbreaker for them, and it really set the fucking stage. It's that big single, like your story that everybody hears. You stood up, you walked out. I think that was that was just the moment. And I do believe that that is the big single too from that record. If I remember correctly, the debatable piece, of course, is For the Love of Money was on there. Easy E, it's that first Easy E record. That one also did very well. But Thuggish Ruggish Bone, I mean, that is what set the stage for Bone Thugs and Harmony. And it was good enough that even Ruthless Records picked that as the first single. So most important 1994 song is Thuggish Ruggish Bone.
You got Ty.
Well, can't deny that. I'm gonna follow that up with definitely Thuggish Ruggish Bone. It's carried and withstood the test of time, even to this day. And in my opinion, that is one of the most notable songs and memorable songs that Bone has ever created or ever made. One thing that is unique about it is, as we move through the years, Crazy Bone or Bone members start to carry on the choruses. However, with Thuggish Ruggish Bone, we had a female chorus on the track, and to me, I felt like that always brought in an even larger crowd, and everybody wanted to sing that chorus. So it's just kind of ingrained in your mind, and it really, really just widened their horizons early on, even in 1994. And that single carried and had radio play and played well into the Eternal era, which was on the horizon just a year later. So definitely Thuggish Ruggish Bone, most important. Easy E being on For the Love of Money brought in the NWA and Easy E fans to come and take a listen to Creepin' on the Come Up. So I mean, there's no doubt that For the Love of Money is a runner-up on that EP.
A quick question for you, Ty. I know Cecil disagrees with this, but do you consider Shatasha the first Mo Thug ever, or do you consider her a member of Ruthless Records?
And I consider her a member of Ruthless Records. Reason being, I've never heard any mention or praise to her much after that record was created from any Bone members. Right? I know they did a reunion concert, and she came out and sang the chorus.
She was on fucking Ruthless Records. She's a Ruthless Records fucking artist, John. She's a fucking Ruthless Records fucking artist.
In my opinion, she's ruthless. Had she still been around for Family Scriptures, I would have definitely, tossed her in there. But no way, she's ruthless to me. Never got brought back, so I can't give her that.
She was on Ruthless Records as an artist. Like she was her own artist, and Easy put her on that song to try to co-push them both, hoping that the single was big and it would also make it big for her. I think the thing that wasn't the deal was like she sang Thuggish Ruggish Bone, and I think people thought she was gonna sing more shit like that. And I think her album or her first single, her single was like Free, and that came out in '95. So like after like the Thuggish Ruggish Bone shit, thinking they were gonna ride the wave, and it was just like a total R&B kind of song. It wasn't anything like Thuggish Ruggish Bone. So I think that's why she wasn't successful. But she was a Ruthless Records fucking artist.
And that was just a single. She didn't have a full album.
I don't know if she had a whole album or not. I thought she might have had an album or something, but I know she only got that one single out.
Wow.
Because if she had an album, we might have overlooked if Bone was featured on it, or MC Ren, or DJ Yella, any of the Ruthless roster, maybe even Hobson. But I don't know. I don't know if she's got an album or not. We're making good time.
I think it was just a single.
I want to bring us into 1995 here. And that's obviously starts Eternal. And as we see on screen, I have listed as the most important first of the month. In my mind, this one's a no-brainer, but I know there's a lot of East 1999 fans out there. So, and keep in mind, the Crossroads doesn't occur until the following year. So as we judge 1995, we judge Eternal. And you judge it as the most important, not the best, not your favorite, but the most important track of 1995. I have first of the month, followed by East 1999. So I'll start with Ty this time. What do you think, Ty?
Yeah, definitely first of the month, especially if we're excluding the Crossroads at that time. First of the month carried was kind of like more like an anthem. Again, another great song with the catchy chorus. And I think that's one thing that Bone was doing a great job of early on, is creating songs that had amazing choruses that everybody could sing. So yeah, the first of the month definitely, in my opinion, is the most important song at that time. East 1999, far as a runner-up, didn't quite. It was popular, and it was a great song. And in my opinion, I think it's an even better song than First of the Month. But the popularity of it wasn't anywhere near what First of the Month was. First of the Month was a very radio-friendly song. Had amazing, catchy. Like I said, the chorus is really catchy. So it definitely was the most important song on Eternal at that time until we get to the next year.
Lisa, what do you think?
Yeah, first of the month. I mean, like I said, I thought I'd see me agreeing with a lot of these, and so far that's definitely the case. We're on the same page. First of the month was set up to be the first big single, and it's funny because it seems like they knew that they were kind of going to go with the harmony piece no matter what. You know, the big song that made Bone, you know, the mega stars that they are, is the Crossroads remix that had that harmony. But before that ever happened, you know, first of the month was the setup, and that was also, you know, in that harmony style, and that was going to be the big push single. You know, so if we're looking at that album and excluding the Crossroads until it dropped later on, you know, without question, that was the big one. And yeah, East 1999, the other single, and then I think the street single was the Buddha Love Is. You know, it's not debatable. First of the month, all the way. Push the button.
Yeah. And I just wanted to ask you guys, did you guys realize the East 1999 is 5 straight verses, no chorus, and then they kind of ride out with East 1999 at the end of the song? That's always blown my mind, that they just dropped 5 straight verses, no chorus. Am I right on that? Am I imagining that?
No, I think you're right, dude. And I like that. Bone has a few songs that are like that. That just go straight chorus, or a member has a verse back to back instead of going through each member all the way around the carousel. But yeah, that's one thing I love about it.
We've talked about that.
We have.
You know,
Okay.
John and I, well, like you and I have talked about it, I think privately, just that, you know, at the beginning they had a very you know, and there was no rhyme or reason to how a song would be. You know, they didn't go in there with okay, we're gonna do a verse, a chorus, a verse, a chorus. I loved on like Art of War when like they each one of them would all sing their own version of the chorus and shit like that. I love when they split up verses. I loved this back to back, you know, verses, and then just like whatever that was, a little ride out at the end. You saw that kind of changed in the formula later on. Later on, that formula, it actually became a formula, really. That was, you know, the kind of the verse, chorus, and I don't know if that was because they recorded together less, so it kind of made it like you had to be like that, or if that's just the way they decided to go. But yeah, at the beginning, there was no rules to the song, and I love that. You know, I love that about East 1999, that song was that banging with no chorus.
Yeah, and I'll just wrap this up saying that if there was a Bone question of the day of what is your favorite acapella, my favorite acapella to listen to is East 1999 acapella. It is a song in itself. Like, they could have sold the acapella as a single.
I gotta
It's
say
that
too
good.
that beat must have been banging, because you know that's the Thuggish Ruggish Bone DJ Unique remix is that beat, and you know he remixed it, and he must have played that for him, and they must have thought it was so banging that they were like, bro, that's got to be more than a remix that's just on, you know, some single. That's like its own fucking song, because that originally that dropped as a remix, you know, the Thuggish Ruggish Bone, that's all it was. So they must have really been feeling that shit to make it its own song, you know, on the next record.
And
Absolutely.
John, real quick before we move on, you know, I don't know if I'm the only person, but listening to Bone during that time, I always felt like certain songs, the bass notes and the treble would hit at certain points to where I couldn't fully understand a syllable or a lyric. But when I heard the acapella, it was like I heard a completely different song.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I agree.
No,
Not only that, you even hear like background things you didn't notice, get the beat going.
I felt like listening to the exact same verse I'd heard 1,000 times. It was a completely rewritten verse just because the audio was pulled out of it. And now I could actually focus on what they were saying. It was incredible. I loved it.
And to wrap up 95, just to ask you guys, realizing now that Everyday Thing was a 95 track. So there's no way Everyday Thing is more important than First of the Month, right?
No, and I mean, the only reason that you can say that is, that you can put the debate in there is, I think that's their first soundtrack track, and it is important when an artist gets on a soundtrack. It usually is very good things for them, and that's a very notable song to the fans. But in terms of impact on the industry, First of the Month, if you ask a non-Bone fan that's still a hip-hop fan, they may list First of the Month, but I don't think any, probably very few non-Bone fans are saying Everyday Thing. So it's got to be
Good
First
point.
of the Month.
Excellent point. So now we go into what could be considered the banner year for Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, 1996. We have the Crossroads, Days of Our Lives, Shoot 'Em Up, and possibly one other soundtrack that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But obviously, and the pain that you're going to have here is to have to go with the Crossroads over Days of Our Lives as the most important.
Nope.
But I'm going to let you guys duke it out if you'd like. So start off, I think we went to tie last time. So we're going to start with Cecil. What's the most important song of 96?
There is no debate. I shall not debate with anybody. Anybody that debates this with me has already lost. The Crossroads is the most important Bone song of that year, of all time, of 1996 hip hop. The Crossroads. Days of Our Lives is a beautiful song. I personally like Days of Our Lives more. Anybody that doubts just the pure level of the Crossroads in 96 for hip hop, for Bone, anybody that debates that, I can't take fucking serious. The Crossroads is the juggernaut. It shall not be debated. I'm out. Push the fucking button.
Okay.
What do you got to follow that one with?
As much as as much as I have listened to the Crossroads and heard it enough for 10 lifetimes, there's no doubt the Crossroads is the most important song. That brought non-hip hop fans, non-rap, non-Bone Thugs-n-Harmony fans into listening to them. Busy Bones, I'm gonna miss everybody line was in all kinds of skits. It made it onto mainstream. It grew its own legs and helped propel Bone on its own because of the mockery of it, and which is great because I'm a believer of all publicity is good publicity, especially when you're trying to sell something, right? So it was a great song. Definitely the most important song. I think it's the most important song of their entire career, for better and for worse. However, now Days of Our Lives is actually my second favorite Bone Thugs-n-Harmony song of all times. That the chorus to that, the beat, the sample that they used was just amazing. One thing I felt that hurt that single at the time was, I don't know about where you guys live, but where I was at that time, it was hard as shit to get your hands on that single. And I don't know if it was even sold widespread stateside, the black covered version of it. But the one I did purchase when I was finally able to was the one with fucking Ray J on the cover.
Yeah, that's the one I always knew it as.
That's the one I always knew it as well. And I've done some digging and looking, and I think there's some imports of it with the black cover. But
there are some different versions of it. But you are right. That was like the other ones that you're talking about are either imports, or most of the time they're actual promotional ones. The one that they actually went with was the fucking Ray J one. It kills me. And I hated it too. It had that fucking slide. It wasn't even a regular CD. It was a really cheap cardboard case, and it was like a slide out Trey fucking sucked.
It was trash. And how Ray J got the larger image at that time on the fucking what was they like?
Was it Moesha? Was he connected to Moesha?
Or Brandy's fucking brother, little brother, Brandy, who
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
artist. Ray J was a nobody at the time. And here you are with these guys who just made the Crossroads fucking, they're at the top of the charts. And then this single, Days of Our Lives, is amazing. I mean, the music video was on BET and MTV all the time. It was awesome because Set It Off was a badass movie. I mean, that was like an all-star female lineup. So it was a very successful movie. So it got a lot of publicity.
In a lot of ways, the Crossroads might have actually, as big as Days of Our Lives is, it might have been a bigger record if it wouldn't have, hit so close to the Crossroads. Or did Days of Our Lives drop first? No, it couldn't have. It had to have dropped after.
Yeah, it dropped after.
Yeah, and the Crossroads might have, helped it, but still hurt it some too, because it's like, that was like the fucking most grand of grand slams. So it's like, no matter how good the next swing was, it probably wasn't going to be the Crossroads. I just wanted to say too, like when Ty was saying about how many non-rap fans it brought in, I don't know if you guys have ever heard it. I used to push like every version of everything I could find on John back in the day, and I was like, John, check this out. It's the AC version, which they would play the Crossroads on the adult contemporary stations, and they would basically cut out everything, so it was just an instrumental, and it was just an instrumental, and like once in a while, like some of the ad libs. So that's it. So if you guys have never heard the Bone Thugs adult contemporary version, make sure you check that out. It's a trip.
I'll have to check that out. But Days of Our Lives, like you said, could have been a much bigger song, even though it was a huge song, and it's my second favorite. It's my second favorite Bone Thugs and Harmony song of all time. The single, I think, the release of the single hurt it even more, in my opinion, because I was a kid running around the store looking for this, and Sam Goody, and even the clerk didn't know where it was because it was bundled up with Ray J. So it was just, it was super strange.
And they probably put it as Ray J too, like because it was a split. Like Bone probably came separate, so you probably had to ask for Ray J. That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
And even at the time. Even at the time period with Ray J on the front, I was like, is he more famous than Bone? Like how? I just figured that he must have sponsored financially the whole release of it. But yeah,
I hate that. You're like, is this guy so famous? I don't even fucking know. Like, what did I miss? What the fuck is going on here? I just want to say too, I've been thinking about this. I want to make sure I get it out here. I'm gonna put this on John when this is done and we have our final pick. You're gonna have to make the playlist because we can't make this an actual album people can buy. John, this is gonna have to be the playlist. The best 25 or 26. Is it 26 years? Is it 25 years if we go to 2018?
It's 25 if we don't include 2019.
Okay, perfect. All right. Yeah, cool. Nope. But yeah, the Crossroads, obviously the juggernaut. I didn't want to name any runners up on this one, but I am gonna when it's worthy, and I do think Days of Our Lives is a very, very worthy runner up.
Yeah, and we'll also just acknowledge that Shoot 'Em Up came out, but that one was even harder to find than Days of Our Lives.
Yeah. I don't even think a lot of Bone fans, like, unless they were real hardcore, like, I don't think a lot of Bone fans really experienced that either until it hit, like, the collection. But I
was able to get that through Columbia House, BMC, those mail catalog CD companies. That's how I was able to get Great White Hype soundtrack, because that was not for sale in my neighborhood. But let's wrap up because we went over time on that one, but that was the 96 year.
Had to.
And 96 deserved a grandstand. So, but we're going to drop right into 1997, the Art of War era. But this year has such a strange twist to it because you have the Art of War, which we celebrate and think is one of the greatest albums they've ever made. But this may be the biggest debate of all album that we're going to have. Yeah. But that same year, we have two supreme classics, Breakdown with Mariah Carey and Notorious Thugs with Notorious B.I.G. But I had listed Look Into My Eyes as the most important because that's what kind of sold up to the album, and the runner-up being If I Could Teach the World. But I think I'm going to modify my runner-up, not that it matters, but I'm throwing Notorious Thugs as the most you know what? I'm gonna put Notorious Thugs as the most important song of that year, and here's
Oh.
why.
That a boy.
I was getting
that-
ready to light you up,
That
motherfucker.
a fucking boy.
Yeah.
You
That
just
a boy.
fucked me up. I'm sitting back. I'm like, I'm about to light John up like a fucking Christmas tree in this motherfucker.
That a boy.
Yeah, no, because Notorious Thugs is what brought East Coast fans to finally acknowledge Bone. And as soon as that happened, that's
Okay.
when I finally saw Eternal show up in record crates. And that track, the East Coast fans still wouldn't give Bone love. They were like, you know that Biggie beat Bone on their own track, right? I'm like, well, no, it was on Biggie's album. Bone let him win. And I'm like, but Bone came with it. So that brought a lot of East Coast fans into the mix to respect Bone finally, at least in South Florida. So yeah, I'm gonna have to modify that to Notorious Thugs is the most important. But the funniest thing is,
yourself into that.
yeah, the funniest thing is, in the ultimate scheme of things, Breakdown might be the most important. But I'm gonna go with Notorious Thugs. So let me hear it from Cecil, since it's coming off the top of your list, and I stole your thunder. Feel free to bring it on me right now.
All right, so I just I'm gonna absolutely agree. You know that it's Notorious Thugs. I'm actually fixing your list right now. I actually need to I need to move, look into my eyes where If I Could Teach the World is on your list. But Notorious Thugs all day. You know, look into my eyes. It's like you want to go with that one. It's on a soundtrack. It's the most notable single from The Art of War. Like it's bigger than If I Could Teach the World, you know, because it was on the soundtrack. If I Could Teach the World, I think was trying to continue riding the wave of the Crossroads and then Days of Our Lives, but it definitely didn't. It's a great song. I know people hate when I kind of shit on If I Could Teach the World. I'm not trying to shit on it. It just isn't the fucking song that everybody tries to make it out to be. It is a great song, but it is not Days of Our Lives. It is not the Crossroads. So Look Into My Eyes is a bigger single. So when I got into this, what we said was the impact on Bone, which, you know, I think we just kind of talked about that. And then we talked about the impact on music, or on, in this case, on hip hop. And this brings us back to when you talk about the average fan that may not be a super fan like a bunch of us, and they talk about Bone, look at the cultural impact of Notorious Thugs on hip hop. How many hip hoppers know the song, love the song? The song has massive impact, and in a lot of ways, you know, we kind of got to be grateful that it was on Biggie's CD. It may not have had that impact if it was on Bone's CD, and I know that's crazy to say coming off the Crossroads, but Bone quickly got a niche fan base, and you know, Biggie, it was East Coast. We're still kind of coming out of that East Coast West Coast thing, you know, even though Tupac and Big, I think, had passed both at that time. We're coming out of that place in hip hop, and East Coast and West Coast fans are still figuring it out, you know, who they like, and you know, accepting this new music. And Notorious Thugs bridge the gap. Non-Bone fans know the song and love the song. Probably a lot of non-rap fans, that's like the second song they know to the Crossroads, I'd say, a lot of non-Bone fans. So without doubt, man, Notorious Thugs is a fucking masterpiece, and, you know, most important song that year. I can't even, you know, Mariah Carey Breakdown, I love that song. It's a great fucking song, but in terms of a Mariah Carey song, like, the record only went gold. This is dropping at a time where she's dropping, you know, platinum fucking singles like Honey. You know, My All came out after fucking Breakdown. That one went platinum. Like, Breakdown came off the heels of a single that didn't chart. They threw Bone on it. I don't know even how it did in the US, but I think it just charted internationally. Like, it's a great song. It's one of my favorites, and I really love the Mo Thug remix that's got Lazy on it as well. But in terms of comparing any of these fucking songs, it doesn't matter either. Sorry I went over time. Push the fucking button. Notorious Thugs.
All right, whatever is left, we kind of robbed you here.
I love the passion. Okay.
I'm sorry I ate the whole plate.
First off, I think John could sense the tension. We were getting ready to eat him up over this Notorious Thugs. No doubt, Notorious Thugs from 1997. not a whole lot more I could add to Notorious Thugs other than it's a fucking household song, man. That song everybody grew to love. The only thing I felt that held it back was the lack of being able to get a single. You couldn't get a single for that song, and it came out. I don't know how many months early, but several months before Life After Death came out. And it came out after The Art of War, if I'm not mistaken. So you knew it wasn't going to be on The Art of War because Art of War was already out, if I'm not mistaken. Because The Art of War came out in the summertime of '97. But
yeah, no, the Notorious Thugs I think came first because
was it before
The
Art of War?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
And the only reason
I had to
why
double check.
Yeah, I think it came first because Notorious Thugs came out when I was still in high school, and Art of War came out like in the summertime.
July. Yeah, The Art of War came out in June or July. So, you knew that song was a masterpiece. It was perfect. One song that I would kind of throw in the runner up category would be Thug Love. Look Into My Eyes. Look Into My Eyes was great. It was a nice song. It got more publicity because it was on the soundtrack. But I feel like Thug Love in '97, if you ask someone, or now, if you're thinking back, what's more popular, more important now, Thug Love or Look Into My Eyes, I think Thug Love would trump. If I Could Teach the World, you can delete that. And Breakdown was great because it brought in the R&B fans. And I did some research while you were talking, Cecil, and Breakdown actually went for number 4 in the R&B category. So it did chart. It got up there pretty high.
I knew it charted.
You're right. Yeah, you're right though. It only went gold. Mariah Carey's the album went gold, which isn't good for her at that time.
Right. At that time, she was like, it just, I'm not trying to take anything. I love that record. I'm not trying to take anything away from it. But just when you were looking at Mariah Carey records at that time, like that record really wasn't shit. It really wasn't shit.
Yeah.
And I just want to tell you guys too that Art of War came out July 29th of '97, and Life After Death came out March 25th of '97. So
so before.
Yeah, so it was a little bit before, and I agree too. Thug Love not being on there, again, when we're taking it back to when we look at the average hip hop fan that's not a mega fan, I think a lot of them know Thug Love. I mean, probably more of them know Thug Love than Days of Our Lives, or excuse me, If I Could Teach the World, or So yeah, I think that's a great one to put on there too. That actually may be, in the grand scheme of things, the runner up. If not, though, it's definitely fucking Look Into My Eyes.
Yeah, I would say most people know it's Bone and Biggie first, and then Look Into My Eyes second, and then possibly Thug Love. I mean, is there even a chorus on that? Run with us. I don't. So
dude, but so many because Pac fans are crazy like us. So many, that song leaks over to Pac culture, and that takes on so many more fans. So you got to say that a lot of fans outside of us really know that fucking song. So I think that's debatable, but I don't think there's any debate right now on '97 is Notorious Thugs all the way around. But I do think that this might be. I think we're going to see a little turbulence in the comments on a few of the early ones, and I think we might see some here too. But Notorious Thugs.
Yeah, this was our first surprise of the evening. So let's take. Oh, and let me just finalize this saying that's a pretty big thing for Cecil West to select Notorious Thugs over any song from his all-time favorite Art of War album. So that's huge. And let's also just acknowledge the timing of Notorious Thugs that dropped. At least the album dropped a week after Biggie's death. It seemed like a week or two, and that along with Hypnotize were and Going Back to Cali were the songs that at least in Florida people were talking about the most. They were most blown away though by Notorious Thugs, not because of Bone, but because Biggie was able to hang with them on a track. So
what song did we pick for the fucking when BT and H Board did the brackets? Did we pick
Mo Murda?
Mo Murda?
No, we picked, Mo Murda was
was
the final. Mo Murda won it all. Yeah.
No.
But the final 4 was Mo Murda. Yeah, Mo Murda, Breakdown,
no fucking way.
Notorious Thugs. Yeah, Mo Murda was the all-time winner. You could check out our own video.
So this is what I tell you guys all the time. Like sometimes, like somebody put in the comments one time, they're like, Cecil contradicts himself. And I'm like, listen, you, I fucking smoke weed and listen to Bone, and I just feel some shit sometimes. It's fucking.
Well,
I,
it's like there's some days where you're gonna feel like Busy Bone's the greatest rapper of all time, and the next week it's like, what was I thinking? Crazy
there,
Bone's the
there, there
all-time
must have been
greatest,
a
and they
reason.
switch.
There must have been a reason we went all the way. It must have been the way the bracket was set up or
Yeah,
some
it was
shit.
the bracket. It was the bracketing, but at the time period, we swore that Mo Murder was the flagship song that Bones ever made, and that Mo Murder was the pinnacle. I don't feel that way now, but at the time period, like both of us were like, "Yo, it's not even a question." Mo Murder.
I think
Why did
a
we even
lot
do
of
the
that had to
bracket?
be a lot of it had to be the bracket though, because like I don't know if that would have happened without bracketing. But either fucking way, whatever. 97 Notorious Thugs. That's a different conversation. What the fuck I was smoking back then.
All right, well, bring it into 1998. The contestants are Ghetto Cowboy, All Good, When Thugs Cry. Wow.
Is that your pick? Is the Ghetto Cowboy?
I'm picking Ghetto Cowboy. I feel like Ghetto Cowboy was as big of a deal, not as big, but almost as big of a deal as, like, I'm not gonna say the Crossroads, but I would say as big as First of the Month. I think Ghetto Cowboy is what took Bone Thugs and Harmony into the fraternities, because I actually saw a fraternity at college perform Ghetto Cowboy in the year that the song was made, and it blew my mind. I was like, really? Bones gotten this big that college fraternity nowadays rap on college fraternities is normal, but back then it wasn't. And seeing that blew my mind. I was like, wow, Bone, they're being performed by fraternities now. Holy cow! So I think Ghetto Cowboy was the most important song of the year of '98. When Thugs Cry was the coolest, but I think Ghetto Cowboy had a longer lasting impact. Most people don't, like, the average Joe knows Ghetto Cowboy, but they don't know When Thugs Cry. They know When Doves Cry by Prince. So that's why I picked Ghetto Cowboy, is just for the global, the worldwide impact. I feel like Ghetto Cowboy cemented Bone. If the Crossroads didn't, I just saw an impact that Ghetto Cowboy had. I'm not saying that I love the song. I like it, but the way I saw people respond to it was just was a mind was it was I was like, wow, I can't believe this. It worked. Big Daddy Kane's prediction of country rap worked. Country and rap. So
Country.
country.
What
Yeah,
the fuck?
yeah.
Oh,
Big Daddy Kane predicted. He said one day there's gonna be a thing called country rap, country
Oh
and rap.
man.
It's in the video.
Holy shit.
How you get a record deal? Yeah. So that's what really blew my mind. So we went with Cecil last time. We're gonna go with Ty Wise. Ty 98. Who do you got for 98? Most important.
okay, don't bite my head off, but it's Ghetto Cowboy, but I really don't have much care for the song. But it's Ghetto Cowboy. It was very popular, and it actually, during that time, we didn't realize we were getting ready to go on a Bone Thugs and Harmony as a group drought from '97 to 2000. And so, in retrospect, looking at it, yeah, I could definitely say it, and surprisingly so, it was a Mo Thugs album. But I don't want to go back too far, but I feel like in '96 we missed Thug Devotion then. If we're gonna talk about Ghetto Cowboy for being most important, because in '96 obviously it's not gonna beat the Crossroads, but Thug Devotion was a very popular song. Anyhow, so I would say Ghetto Cowboy. Um, I guess by default almost, because All Good, I actually think it's a better song, but nowhere near the publicity. It doesn't have the storyline that Ghetto Cowboy has. Crazy Bone is a master at telling a story, and that's what he did. He did a great job with that track. And When Thugs Cry, I love that song. Love the sample. Love the Prince sample. It was incredible. I was very happy for Busy Bone, but at the same time, we had just got through the murkiness of the where's the missing BB Gambini and all this shit, and no fucking no surfacing of him throughout all the publicity of Art of War, and all of a sudden the fucker wants to come up and make an album with a badass single on it, and now that's gonna be the most popular thing. Didn't really work out in his favor if we're comparing them across the board. But I do think When Thugs Cry was an amazing song. But like I said, it was a strange time for Busy Bone to resurface. after taking a hiatus from what is Cecil's favorite Bone Thugs and Harmony album of all time. So yeah, Ghetto Cowboy, man. Ghetto Cowboy, most important, 98.
Cecil, what do you
Um,
got to say about that?
I wish that Ghetto Cowboy didn't have the juggernaut success that it has in the Bone world and music cultural impact, because every part of me wants to just like defend When Thugs Cry. I remember When Thugs Cry. I'm a Joe Budden everybody for a second right now and tell you something else I love before I go with the fucking final. And when Thugs Cry happened, it's exactly, you know, what Ty was talking about. Busy hadn't been there. It almost felt like this was done on purpose. Like, I think of the Look Into My Eyes video and them running around and they show the picture like, where the fuck is Busy Bone? And then Busy Bone is then like a year later like putting out promotions that says he's missing. It's almost like this was the way that it was supposed to happen. And then, like you said, Thugs Cry drops and it's the most devastatingly like good Bone music I've heard in a while. Like, when we're comparing Thugs Cry to Ghetto Cowboy as a song, if anybody says that like Ghetto Cowboy is a better than the Thugs Cry song, I'll pull the little bit of hair I got left right the fuck out. Like, that's not real.
Yeah.
When Thugs
No debate.
Cry is so fucking good, and the video is so
Awesome.
fucking amazing, and the feeling that you got the first time you saw it and heard it, especially, it's held its place, and when you hear it and see it now, it's still fucking great, and that's how you know it's great.
Awesome.
But if you really think of what you felt the first time you saw it and heard it, it was like you lost your breath a little bit. So every part about me wants to say When Thugs Cry, but you got to give it to Ghetto Cowboy, the most successful Mo Thugs single of all time. It's probably the most important Mo Thugs single of all time. It's got cultural impact. Again, non-Bone fans, even non-hip hop fans, I think know it. It was the #1 on the Billboard Hot Rap Singles, number 15 for just overall top 100. These are impressive numbers. These are impressive numbers, and you know, it had 2 members of Bone, but it also had, you know, what we could say in the grand scheme of things are 3 very unknown artists as well, and they have a huge single. So as great as When Thugs Cry is, as like right on the fucking heels as music and as feeling as it is, unfortunately the cultural and music impact of, you know, Ghetto Cowboy still exists today. I believe that it actually made some things okay later on. You know, when Nelly did his country shit, like, you know, it's like, well, Bone did that. You know, I know it was more campy than you know, like Nelly's, but it's like Bone really took that risk. You think of the year 98, Bone and Mo Thug took that risk to do this song at a time where it may not be considered, you know, cool for them to do that. This is way before Quentin Tarantino, you know, was making black cowboy movies. So they took a lot of risk and they got a lot of rewards. So somehow I kept this going even more. Ty had a great setup, and I still fucking went Ghetto Cowboy, push the fucking button.
Absolutely. I was
I
blown
tried
away
to get
too.
you, Cecil. Sorry, I tried to get you, Cecil. I was hoping Cecil would move that When Thugs Cry up there, but
Oh,
not
I
close.
wanted to. I want every part of me, bro. Every part of me thinks of Busy Bone and just banging through that jail. And like, even now, I kind of like the first time it happened, and I don't want to keep this going, but I know we're about to get in the 2000s and this is going to get easy. It's,
Yeah.
when I saw that video, can you guys just quickly tell me, like, I don't want to talk every little fucking just like feeling you had through the whole video because it's gonna get soft, but when you saw the rest of Bone Thugs in the video do cameos, did you just explode a little bit? Like, the first time I saw all the members of Bone and realized they were in Thugs Cry, my head just like exploded. And then when he jumped in the car with Maya, and it was like the first time you saw him in the BB Gambini suit
In the Bentley, in the old school Bentley, which was new at the time.
Jesus, this whole thing blew my mind. But when seeing Bone, bro, in the video, I was just like,
See, that's what I was waiting on you to say. Seeing that and then seeing Maya was like, okay, Busy's good. Everything's good. You know, I mean, he's with Maya, who at the time was just bursted onto the scene, and she was super popular. And just the affiliation, I felt like, okay, he's in a good place. He's back. The group's behind him. Here we go.
yeah.
And man,
What?
man, that's
Dub
awesome.
Dub C, um,
Yeah, Mac
Dub
10.
C,
Yeah,
and Mac 10. They
West
also
Side
cameo.
Connection.
Yeah, West Side Connection does a cameo, which you just think, oh, that's cool, but it's like back then, getting the nod from the West Coast and like West
Big
Coast
deal.
generals like that, big deal to have them come through and cameo, Bone cameo, just bro. Everything about that song, like that song, if we got to give Ghetto Cowboy the 10 for the year, like when Thugs Cry is like the 9.5 important.
Yeah.
So just that's it. I'm done. I got to take my heart out of this. I'm out.
I was thoroughly blown away by the music video, and I think it's one of his best written songs. That, along with Nobody Could Stop Me Now, those are his two best written tracks, in my opinion. But let's move on, because we could talk about
If
it
Mo
all night.
Thugs, can we all agree if Mo Thugs if we were not going to consider any Mo Thugs songs, which I assume you only considered that one because Bone is in it. I noticed a bunch of Mo Thugs songs not through this list, so we may want to think about that as we go through here. But if Mo Thugs were not considered at all, I think we can all agree When Thugs Cry would be the one.
The reason why Ghetto Cowboy counts, though, is because on the Bone Thugs and Harmony Greatest Hits double CD, Ghetto Cowboy
yeah. No,
and
I
All Good
agree.
are both on it.
Yeah,
And
no,
when I
I
saw
agree.
that,
Yeah.
so that's
No,
why. And just to leave you guys with something, the fact that the whole world was craving for more Powder P and more Thug Queen, and nobody ever got either. I almost wonder, some people maybe, well, actually Powder P eventually put out those two solo albums. Thug Queen had like a couple tracks here and there, but
oh,
outside of Wishbone,
looking ahead at shit that's coming up. Oh, oh fuck.
All right, let's get into it, because we dropped about almost 10 minutes on 98, which I did not anticipate. So heading into 1999, and I only have two here listed, but feel free to add anything additionally in. Although I don't think there's much to work with. We have Thug Mentality from the Thug Mentality 99 album, as well as, oh, I see what's coming here, as well as Paper and I Still Believe.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go
You're
with.
welcome. You're welcome.
I'm, I'm gonna go with. I think Thug Mentality was. Now you know what? Because I have a soft spot for Mariah Carey, but I just don't know how many people knew about it. But finding out that on DeMiz's radio station it went #1, most important. I'm gonna go with I Still Believe, Mariah Carey, and Crazy Bone over Thug Mentality 99, because I think, as time told the story, as time keeps passing us by.
I heard when time keeps passing us by, and then John was gone. Okay, well, I don't know what John's doing, but it's all right, because I'm going to take over where John was going. I think what John was saying was, probably initially in 1999, Thug Mentality might have been like the big impact for us as Bone fans. And I think that's probably true, because that single dropped and we were probably all really excited. But, over time, like, I Still Believe is kind of like really just been timeless a little bit, like more timeless than Thug Mentality 1999. Maybe not to Bone fans, like they might be kind of close as Bone fans. But fucking Mariah is such a big deal, and I know that song was just big in her world as well. I think it's close, because we also got to look at the impact that Thug Mentality 1999 had on the Bone world and us as Bone fans. And we're coming off of what we were just talking about for so long, 98. We're coming off of Busy Bone having a solo, and Crazy having his first solo, making the third of the Bone solos to come out. And Thug Mentality was the first single, And if you remember, that also had the Bone cameo in it. No Busy Bone.
Which got weird again 1 year
Yeah,
later.
right. It got weird again, but it had that Bone cameo, and of course he had a Bone cameo on the album itself. So I think at that time, like I still believe, or excuse me, Thug Mentality was probably really, really important. But in the long term, it's got to be the I Still Believe remix, and it's very tough because I got to weigh out the cultural impact and the Bone impact, and because of that, I think that makes them very close. But overall, I Still Believe is my pick. I believe we got John back on, and John, yeah, we heard kind of where you were going with just like in the long term of things. I Still Believe kind of edges out Thug Mentality, and I kind of tried to talk about that, how Thug Mentality was really important at the time, especially for Bone fans, but in the grand scheme over the long term, I Still Believe is really kind of been able to hold on to probably not just Bone fans, but like when I talked about how big Pac fans were, Mariah fans are also fucking wild, and that song's also big in her world as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Dittos. Did Ty get a chance to state his case, because he's the one that came up with that idea?
Yeah, no, it was just me running my fucking mouth. But I'm glad that he threw that one in there, because I wasn't really thinking, and I was just looking at your two picks, and I was like, oh, this is easy. Thug Mentality, bodies, paper all day, but definitely I Still Believe. But no, all Ty, bro. Go Ty.
So when John, shot this idea over to me, this list he was creating, I was like, this is an awesome idea. I started skimming it, and I looked at 99 because we're starting to get into the dry era. It's not as deep as a pool over here. 99 and on as it was in the early 90s.
Right.
We're in shallow fucking waters we're coming on now. And I looked at the two tracks. I was like, wait a minute. I Still Believe had a single. That was a good track. I love I Still Believe. It was a great song. And I don't know who picks the singles or who picked the singles off this album, but did either one of you see the promo commercial for Thug Mentality when it was coming out at the time? Heated Heavy was the song on the commercial.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Heated Heavy was a promo single too. It was a promo single as well.
And so I love that. I mean, that's probably the best song on that and Mo Murder, the best song on the album. And I loved it. And so I was like, oh, you know what, man, when this comes out, it's gonna be Heated Heavy, first single, and then Thug Mentality dropped. And I was like, ugh, I grew to love it. It was a good song. It was popular. But I always felt like Heated Heavy would have just been, and I probably wouldn't have gotten as much global love because it's a little darker, a little bit more hard of a song. But Paper, man, Crazy performed Paper on Soul Train. I think it was Soul Train at the time, and performed Paper live. It was awful. Anyways, Thug Mentality. I will have to give it I would have to say, is a very important song, but in my opinion, I Still Believe should be the most important song for 1999, especially on that album. It just, the chorus was good, the verses were good. It was a very, very radio friendly song, so it was just easy to listen to. Thug Mentality was a quality song, but I felt like I Still Believe it has star power. It's got Crazy Bone and Mariah Carey, so now it's not just a hip hop song; it's a hip hop and R&B blended song. It was just a better overall song, in my opinion. So that's why I threw that out.
I'll point out too something that we talked about with Demiza is, the I Still Believe video version has DeBrad in it because she is on the actual Mariah Carey cut, and it's actually Mariah Carey's song, and it's her single, and that's why DeBrat's in that version, because we know on the Crazy Bone Thug Mentality 99 version, DeBrat's not on there. He cut that off. So the person that actually picked that single is Mariah. It's actually Mariah's single as far as the video is concerned. Do you feel, Ty, I Still Believe would still be the pick here if Mariah wouldn't have picked that for a single, meaning it wouldn't be a video, but it's still on both records? Do you still think that it would be the one without the video?
Yeah, I still think it would have. It probably would have been a hidden gem. One of those songs you might have started and then started to hear it and maybe hit skip to get to those Mo Murder tracks. But but I still think that the star power alone, I felt like carried that song. Any track that had an artist as big as Mariah Carey was at that time, you had to listen to it. You know, it was you kind of scanned the back of that CD case back in the day, and you saw the features and like, whoa, wait a minute, Mariah Carey's on this track. This has got to be good. I still think people would have found it. I still think it would have withstood the test of time, and people would have took notice of it because it's a great song, and especially after Breakdown. You know, I know we glanced over Breakdown. Breakdown was an awesome track, great track, and I think this followed it up, and it was just two back-to-back Mariah Carey Bone Thug hits. So I still think it would have been big. Still, probably not as big, but it would have been big.
Well, we're all in agreement. I still believe is 1999's most important.
Yeah, but only because again of the pure, you know, star power and what the song represents in music. Because I like the song the best out of any of the ones that we've talked about too. But man, I still got to just say there was something special, not even necessarily about Thug Mentality, this track, but more like the Thug Mentality 1999 album and what was going on at the time, and Crazy Bones finally dropping the solo. And when that dropped, there was something special there. But yeah, I agree. I still believe in the grand scheme is the most important song of 1999.
And I thought you were going to debate Paper. Weren't you going to school me and Ty on why Paper was the most important? Is that what you said behind the scenes?
No way. No way.
No way.
No way. Fuck no. Paper
I'm gonna
is
take a
like
page
one
out
of
of
the-
Cecil's book.
Fuck no. No way.
No way.
Coming
I don't know.
on.
There was one that you said that you and Ty agreed on that I was like, fuck no, I'm going in on that, but definitely not Paper. Paper is like one of the least important
I thought
fucking
that's what it
Bone
was.
songs ever. No fucking
That's
way.
the one it was. Okay.
No way. I fucking can't stand that
what
song.
I thought. That's why I was like, what? What do you just? Yeah, no, I hear you.
Oh, no way. Hate that shit.
All right, moving on to 2000. We all didn't die. Armageddon didn't happen, although Armageddon was on Thug Mentality 99. But in 2000, this is what we have. We have Resurrection, Paper, Change the World, and Until We Rich. And you could throw in Can't Give It Up if you're pissed off that that's not on the list. Let me throw that in.
Yeah.
Can't Give It Up.
You could, no, you're good, man. You can leave that off.
Oh,
But I do
Can't
have
give it
one.
up.
I want to take this at bat first, if you don't mind, Cecil.
Okay, yeah. Before I even say
Okay.
anything, let Ty lead this one off.
Okay.
2000.
Okay, 2000, really weird release. We've gone 3 years since we had a Bone Thugs and Harmony album. Resurrection, which was a mediocre video with all the weird, no, we haven't broken up, when Busy Bone's sitting at the kitchen table and
the
girls
license
doing
plates,
their hair.
the cars, like we're fucking Transformers.
Made no sense to me. Okay, so that comes out now. In my opinion, that was from what we have listed there. We have Resurrection, Change the World, Until We Rich, which is a good song, and Can't Give It Up. From what you have right there, Resurrection is definitely the most important. However, in my opinion, looking back 19 years ago, the average hip hop person may or may not know Resurrection. But I'll tell you one song they know off of that album, Ecstasy. In my opinion, Ecstasy is actually a really popular song. And it was really popular then. I don't know why they didn't promote it. Maybe because of what the theme was, maybe what it was about. But to me, I think Ecstasy trumps Can't Give It Up, Until We Rich, Change the World. It's probably a runner-up to Resurrection. So to me, I think the most important song in 2000 on that album, because Resurrection to me was a mediocre album. Didn't really have anything that I listened to on a regular basis to this day. But Ecstasy was an awesome track, and I think the story that it told was phenomenal. They all had similar trips. It was great. So to me, 2000 Ecstasy, I put Ecstasy there, most important track.
Go ahead, John.
Wishbone's Ecstasy experience was slightly different than everybody else's.
But
awesome, you do bring up a big point with Ecstasy. In fact, the guy talking at the beginning, I almost wonder, because Crazy Bone was living in Miami at the time, And before the song came out, I knew these guys that were serving crazy stuff, and they came back. They said, "Hey, you like Bone?" Because they were Redman, Method Man fans. They didn't like Midwest rap. They're like, "Hey, you like Bone, right?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Well, we just served up some stuff to Crazy Bone. He's writing this like weird techno song about ecstasy right now." And I was like, "What? Get out of here!" And then like sure enough, like 3 weeks later, I hear ecstasy, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" And then I hear the guy talking at the beginning where he's trying to like convince Crazy Bone to buy like this.
try it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, I wonder if that's based on, because my friends didn't care about Bones. They just wanted to sell what they had. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so they weren't starstruck. They were just like, yeah, this guy's a junkie. He buys stuff off us, whatever. So that to me, with the personal experience, I mean, close to the situation, I see your point. How big is ecstasy? Like, does people, not the drug, but the song itself, do people outside of the Bone world know about this song?
I know a lot of people who know the song, and I've heard it in public before. And man, a lot of people started singing it, and they don't know the verses, verbatim, but they knew. A lot of people know that the chorus is awesome, and so it's super catchy. It's one of those crossroad like choruses, like it only has a few words in it, and it's extremely catchy. So and then I've seen Busy live several times. He always performs the verse to Ecstasy. It's very well noted verse of his. So I don't know. I just felt like it was I thought it was a great song. I think that should have been a big single, but I don't know. Maybe it was public image. Who knows what they were?
That's a dangerous song to put out there because
it is.
They did have weed song, and weed is weed, but ecstasy is like it gets into a whole different category of drugs. So
I think now it's definitely a sensitive song, but I think 20 years ago, I don't think ecstasy. I think an ecstasy song would have been swept under the rug with all the rest of the weed songs. But I think had they made it a big single, then man, I think that could have been an even more popular song. Because I have seen Bone perform it as a group, and I've seen them perform it solo.
What the fuck? What kind of video wise do you want for ecstasy? Huh? For an ecstasy
it would
video?
have to be.
What do you want?
It had to be a trippy. It'd have to be a trippy, like one of those hallucination, ASAP Rocky, Travis Scott looking videos.
I don't know.
And weird stuff. You're not gonna get a good video out of it. But the song was popular as shit. It was really popular.
But the only thing is, if it was based on reality, by the end of the video, all these guys would have had to be massaging each other by the.
They'd be passed out.
I don't know. Yeah. Listen, I don't know about all that. Cecil West has partied pretty hard in his life, and I ain't never rubbed no fucking dudes, so I don't know about all that. Shit.
The video would be hard, but I mean,
I bet
all these other songs are, can't give it up. I mean, come on, give me a break.
Let me know. Let me know when it's time.
I'm gonna go second, and I wouldn't pick ecstasy, but I do think Ty had an interesting case for us to even explore that.
I will just say for Ty, by the way, that they did release ecstasy as a white label promotional single to DJs, and just they didn't even spell it as ecstasy. It had a big red X on it. And and they did try to test the market, the waters a little bit with it. So, Ty might be onto something. They may have been pushing, at least as the street single. But yeah, I just wanted to cliff note that. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, and so the thing is, by reading Machetes Dipped in Rum, Until We Rich was actually a gold single based on what we read there.
Yeah.
So and I think that was a great song. You got Ice Cube star power. Ice Cube was the Don Mega coming off of West Side Connection, all that. I think at the time Resurrection was the most important, but I think at least in the Bone community, I think people still prefer Change the World the most out of all those. Surprisingly enough, Until We Rich is not a celebrated Bone fan song. Do you guys agree with that?
I kind of remember it being at the time. I don't think like now when you just because they have such a big catalog, I don't think it's like super, I don't think it's any in like the top 10 for people, but like I think you'd be hard pressed to find like a Bone fan that doesn't like really like it. I don't think there's not really a reason to not dig that
Yeah,
song.
no, I know Bone fans like it, but I'm saying it's never, you never see anybody post it on B Teenage Board.
No.
You never see people talking about
He
it.
just does the
And
hook,
it's
you know. It's
yeah,
because
that's probably
yeah.
why.
it's because he just does the hook. If he had a verse, I love Bone fans because they're like, let's take every feature that Bone has and we'll just cut the other guy out. Like somebody cut fucking, who is it? Young Noble? Is it Young Noble that is on
Yeah.
all the Crazy Bone songs? Somebody just cut him out of every song, so it's just a Crazy Bone solo unless Young Noble does a chorus, and then that's the only time you hear the guy. So
Well,
if he had a verse, I think Bone fans would love him Toby Rich more. It's because he's just the hook.
And for me, remember, I'm coming from the NWA camp, Easy E camp before Bone, right? So like, imagine what it's like for me seeing Ice Cube, one of my childhood favorites, with my present day favorite Crazy Bone doing it together, and the lyrics on the song. You know, I'm a positive guy, and Ice Cube drops such a positive message on that song. I love it so much. But we're trying to find the most important from 2000, and in ways when I'm thinking about most important, I'm almost going with Ty here because Ecstasy might have had them,
Oh
but
my
I'm
God.
gonna go with Change the World. I'm going with Change the World because right before we went live, I watched behind the scenes footage of Crazy Bones verse on Change the World, and I never even noticed all those people running past them and what it took to direct that video. So I'm going with Change the World as the most important for 2000.
Good man, John. It is my fucking turn, and I am also going with Change the World, and I'm gonna tell you motherfuckers why. First of all, Ecstasy, you see how it's like way off the board? Like it doesn't even count, bro. It's way off the board for a reason. The song doesn't even kind of start to we're talking the most important fucking Bone song of 2000, and we have Resurrection, that while it is not my favorite Bone fucking song, it is the first time we saw Bone back together in years, and the song charted. It was fucking number 22 on the hot hip hop singles, number 20 fucking 2. So it charted in the top 25, and it's the first time we saw them back together. All of fucking Bone. If that's not enough for it to be the most fucking important, the next piece where I back up Change the World will be, because Resurrection, Paper, it was kind of the forced reunion. And what I mean by that is Resurrection, we know that Bone kind of just went in to record and they did it without Crazy. Crazy was still running on the Thug Mentality 99. I believe he was on some kind of tour when they started doing it, and they just started doing it without him. And that's why he ended up not on Change the World. To start with, we all remember the album version, and I actually believe the first time we heard him on Change the World was the DJ Unique remix, and Crazy had a verse. They later mixed that into the Change the World video, and this is why it's the most important to me. Change the World represents what Resurrection Paper was supposed to, and that is because Crazy was on the song, so he just came and did it. But the same feelings that Ty talks about is how I felt. It didn't really feel, it kind of felt corny. It was a little cheesy. I didn't get, like, in the video, like, they're back together feeling, even though that's what it was, even though that's what it really was. That's not the feeling that I got from it. But Change the World.
Clips.
It was bad. It wasn't good. But Change the World. Here's why this is the one. Change the World is the real resurrection at that time. It is the real reunion. Crazy Bone wasn't on the fucking song, and he ended up in the fucking video on the song. He dropped all the Thug Mentality shit. He fucking fully jumped in. At that time, they were all kind of doing the Crazy Bone thing. Remember, they braided their hair. They all kind of had the skulls. Change the World is a considerably, in my opinion, better song than If I Could Teach the World, but it is the next chapter in that. I think that the video is top notch. It's a top notch video, and Crazy Bone is in it, and it represented the real reunion. It represents the true reunion of Bone Thugs and Harmony. That is the first moment that fuck Resurrection. He was in the song, and it was fucking corny. And even though it was the reunion, Change the World was like, okay, we're really all in this. I'm stepping away from all the solo shit. We're all here. They all did the fucking song. The song still matters to us as Bone fans right now in 2019. And that is the fucking reunion. All this other shit, Resurrection, Until We Rich, the Weed song is great, and there's a lot of reasons that you could talk about Weed song, because I think a lot of Bone fans don't know it, but Change the World is the resurrection of the brand in 2000, and the first moment that we really had the unity among Bone, that we can say this is true blue. There's no singles around us. The only thing they give a fuck about is Bone Thugs and Harmony. Change the World, 2000, most important. Push the fucking button.
You got outvoted there, Ty. You got outvoted. A strong case, man. You almost had me.
I think I was just so sick of Crossroads, man. I think I had Crossroads hangover by 2000. You know, had Crossroads, look into my eyes, and I think that's why I'm sick of it.
If I Could Teach the World did so bad because I had Crossroads kind of hangover.
Tired of it.
But by the time Change the World happened, though, I was it was so exciting that seeing them all kind of like together. They were not together in the Resurrection video until the end, which I get what they were trying to do, but like it did the opposite of what I wanted. Change the World felt good. It felt like the real like I think a lot of people look at it as If I Could Teach the World is like the Crossroads chapter, which, you know, I guess in a way it is, but Change the World is really like the next.
It's the sequel we wanted. It was the real sequel we wanted.
And the video is beautiful. The song is beautiful, and
the production is way better. Yeah. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. It's a professional video.
When you think of the big deal for that time for the Crazy Bone, you know, think of when you saw the video and boom, Crazy Bone was there. You were like, holy fucking shit. Like it really, like, you know, kind of blew your mind a little bit, especially if you were not hard into Bone. You may not have heard the Change the World DJ Unique mix before you saw the video.
Yeah.
So if you saw the video first and Crazy Bone was there, you were like, yo, they're really with it. Because by then you'd heard the album, and you probably heard the album when, why the fuck isn't Crazy Bone in this song? Like, he should be in this song. I also love, by the way, that song, you know, the chorus isn't carried by Crazy Bone. You know, it's a big song without it. So I think Change the World is unquestionably an ecstasy.
And it's a crime that there was no promotion for the video. like that video was so good, and it barely got any video play on time.
Yeah, I will just say too, I don't know if you've ever the reason why I threw Can't Give It Up in there is that, have you ever heard like how much I talk about Can't Give It Up on the show? I don't know how it happens, but I talk about Can't Give It Up a lot on the show.
I was just so sick of it, man. Because if you think about it, like, those are big gaps. I mean, it's been 3 years since we heard Bone Thugs and Harmony. Before that, you know, we had, you know, Eternal in '95. So here I'm growing up, and I'm still hearing fucking Crossroads. Like 5 years later, I was just done. I'm like, hey guys, you know, you want to run and go show your friends a badass Bone song? Hey, check this, Change the World? No.
Oh,
you're not gaining new Bone Thugs and Harmony fans in 1999, 2000 would Change the World. Get the fuck out. There's no way. If they weren't already Bone fans in 2000, Change the World sure as shit wasn't gonna make them a Bone.
Okay, but can you find anybody that says, yo, the first song that I heard was Ecstasy, and I've been a Bone fan?
No, but hold on. But they took a different route. So that's not Apple.
So what? They took a different route with bottle service too, and you hate it.
Oh, that was fucking trash.
Beyond the harmony for the fans, we celebrate. In the videos every Thursday, so join us. Beyond the harmony for the fans, we celebrate. In the videos every Thursday, so join us.